Okay, so hello and thank you for watching this week's video lectures. So if you remember, in our last video we studied Unit 2 from the book, and that was practicing indirect questions and talking about shows. This week we are going to look at page 16. So we'll study from pages 16 to 21. And in this video, we will be studying Unit 3. You can see the title. It was painted by Banksy. Banksy is a famous graffiti artist, a street artist, but nobody knows who Banksy is. So we'll be talking about art, and we are going to practice passives. So passives are when you want to talk about the object. So in this case, you can see the title. It was painted by Banksy. So who did the action? Banksy. Banksy painted this picture. So this picture, it was painted by Banksy. So we're talking about the person doing something, and we'll be talking about art. So if you have the book, you can turn to page 16, and we'll start by looking at the vocabulary. So on page 16, if you look at the picture, and what kind of art can you see? So if you look at the picture, we have two people, a young lady and a young man. They are in an art museum. You can see four pictures. This, and she's doing something. So let's see, number one, we can see a painting hanging on the wall. In the painting, it looks like an old lady. She's wearing traditional clothes. This kind of picture, what kind of painting is it? A, B, C, D, E, F. So is it a sculpture, a portrait, still life, still not moving, landscape, a drawing, or an abstract painting? So this first picture, this is a portrait. A portrait. So these days you might take a selfie, a selka, but a long time ago, before painting, before cameras, people made self-portraits. So the first picture, the first painting in the picture is a portrait. 2, what is she doing? She has a pen or pencil. I think she's looking at this portrait picture, and she is drawing. So she is drawing. This picture in front of her is a drawing. You can take a photograph, but sometimes in the museum you're not allowed, no photographs. So instead of a photograph, she has a drawing. Picture 3. This painting, hanging on the wall, shows some fruit and 2 roses, or 3 roses, a white rose, a red rose, and a pink rose. I think there's an apple and an orange and some grapes. So this is not a portrait painting. This is a still life. A still life. So a painting of something that doesn't move. not an animal. Usually this is food or flowers. It's living, but it's not moving. That is picture 3. Painting 4. Oh my. It's very strange. There's some black lines, some yellow lines. I think it's orange, gray, purple, pink. If you look at it carefully, maybe you can see something special. This is abstract, an abstract painting. We don't really know what it is showing. In the 5th one, this is not a painting. There's 2 circle shapes and some straight lines. I think he touched it, so he's very scared. This one is a sculpture. A sculpture. So a sculpture can be a shape or a statue of a person. If you look around our campus, you can see some sculptures. There is one in front of the Minsak Library, the Thinker. And I'm not sure where another one is, but I've seen some different ones. Usually in Korea, in front of a tall building, you can always see some sculpture. And the last picture must be D. It's a landscape. It's a landscape. So this is a painting of some scenery, some mountains or a forest or the ocean. If you look at picture D, landscape, and picture B and picture D, you have a landscape on the right and a portrait. When you are printing something, you can print it in landscape, or you can print it in landscape on the right, or you can print it in portrait mode, where it's longer. Landscape is wider. This is the same with your smartphone. If you take a picture, you can hold it in portrait, so it's very tall, or you can hold it and take a picture in landscape, where it's very wide. So portrait and landscape. So let's move on. Here, it's a bit blurry, I'm sorry. But we can talk about some different types of art. So 3 questions. 1, 2, 3. 1, which words are types of art? 2, which words are used to describe art? And 3, is each word positive, negative, or neutral? So positive, good word, negative, bad word, neutral, neither. So let's see. Illustration. So we can say illustration. It's a word that is a type of art. It's a drawing. It's a drawing. Traditional. Traditional could be 1 or 2. So it's a traditional painting or a traditional sculpture. It can also describe the picture. So this is a traditional image. And traditional, positive, negative, neutral. Neutral. It describes it as traditional, kind of old style, not futuristic. Confusing. Confusing. If you don't understand something, it is confusing. So 1, 2, this one is 3. I think this is maybe neutral. I think abstract art, this image, this painting is very confusing. If you look at the other paintings, it's an old lady, there are some flowers. I don't know what is showing here. It's very confusing. Amazing! Wow! So again, this describes the art. It's an amazing painting. It's very positive. Realistic. So this painting is very realistic. It looks real. So this one I think is more positive, maybe neutral. This painting is abstract. It's not realistic. This painting looks like a photograph. The landscape looks like a photograph. It is very realistic. Monument. So a monument is a type of art. If you visit Seoul in Gwanghwamun, I've forgotten the name, there is a monument to General Lee Sun-shin, Admiral Lee Sun-shin. There is a monument. Graffiti. So graffiti is a type of art. It's a street art. You can see graffiti on walls or old buildings sometimes. Boring. So amazing, boring. Boring describes art. It's very negative. And statue. Statue. So statue is a sculpture, but a statue is usually a person. So in Korea, you can see statues of Lee Sun-shin. You can see statues in Europe. Perhaps Michelangelo's David is a famous one. Colorful. So colorful describes art. It describes the art. So in the art picture, the portrait is very colorful. The old lady is wearing yellow and white and blue. The landscape, it's not very colorful. Green and blue. Green, blue, and white. So it's not very colorful. This is neutral. Some amazing art is not colorful. Some boring art is very colorful. Colorful is neutral. Pottery. Pottery is like a bowl or a plate. So this is a type of art. I think there's a famous museum in Gimhae that shows pottery. Korean pottery is perhaps painted with colors. Mural. Mural is a little different. Mural means a wall painting. So if you walk down to Global Village, next to the Global Village, there is a wall painting of a shoe just next to the entrance. This is different to graffiti. Graffiti is sometimes illegal. It's not, you're not supposed to. Mural is just a wall painting. Mural can be graffiti too. Okay, moving on. Let's look at page 17 and we will do the listening exercise. So here, if you have the book, you can see two women, Kelly and Emily. Kelly is on the left and Emily is on the right. They are talking about a painting. So first, let's listen and then we can look at the conversation.
Page 17. Conversation. Complete the conversation. Then listen and check your answers. Practice the conversation with a partner.
I like that still life. Did you do that, Emily? Oh, thank you. I like it too. But actually, it was done by my grandmother. Well, it's very colorful. I really love it. Thanks! She's very talented. Some of her paintings were shown at the local museum a few years ago. Wow! So are you an artistic person too? Not really. I think I did a sculpture once in junior high. And I go to the museum once a year or so.
Why don't you go more often?
I don't have to. I have my own museum right here.
Okay, so they are talking about a painting in the house. You can see Kelly and Emily. So let's look. I like that still life. Did you do that, Emily? So they are talking about a still life painting. And if you remember, still life paintings are pictures of flowers or fruit and that kind of thing. Sometimes it can be food. My mother has a picture of some oysters in her living room. So I like that still life. Did you do that, Emily? Oh, thank you. I like it too, but actually it was done by my grandmother. So yeah, did you do that, Emily? Did you paint the still life? I like it too, but no, I didn't paint it. It was done by my grandmother. It was painted by my grandmother. So who did it? My grandmother. Well, it's very colorful. I really love it. Thanks. She's very talented. Some of her paintings were shown at the local museum a few years ago. Wow! So, are you an artistic person too? Not really. I think I did a sculpture once in junior high. And I go to the museum once a year or so. So, are you an artistic person too? No, not really. A little. Not really. I think I did a sculpture once in junior high. And I go to the museum once a year or so. Why don't you go more often? I don't have to. I have my own museum right here. So let's let's listen again, and we can watch the two people, Kelly on the left and Emily on the right, talking about the painting on the wall.
I like that still life. Did you do that, Emily?
Oh, thank you. I like it too, but actually it was done by my grandmother.
Well, it's very colorful. I really love it.
Thanks! She's very talented. Some of her paintings were shown at the local museum a few years ago.
Wow. So, are you an artistic person too?
Not really. I think I did a sculpture once in junior high, and I go to the museum once a year or so.
Why don't you go more often?
I don't have to. I have my own museum right here.
Okay, so Kelly and Emily, what are they doing? So Kelly and Emily are looking at a painting. Is it true or false? Kelly and Emily are at a museum. Kelly likes the painting. Emily's mother did the painting. Emily did a painting in junior high. Emily doesn't go to museums very often. So let's check true or false. 맞아요 or 틀려요. O or X for each statement. Let's see. Kelly and Emily are looking at a painting. Is it true or false? This one's easy because they are in the video. They are looking at a painting of a still life. Kelly and Emily are at a museum. So is it true or false? This is false. It's Emily's grandmother's painting. They are at Emily's house or Emily's apartment. Kelly likes the painting. True. So Kelly says it's very colorful. So colorful is not positive or negative, but it's very colorful. I really love it. So she doesn't just like it, she really likes it. She really loves it. It's wonderful. 4. Emily's mother did the painting. True or false? So this is false. The painting was done by Emily's grandmother. Emily's grandmother. 5. Emily did a painting in junior high. True or false? So this answer is false. Emily did a sculpture. She made a statue, a 3D art in junior high. Junior high is maybe it's like middle school in Korea. Emily doesn't go to museums very often. True. True. This is true. My mistake. She doesn't go to museums very often because her grandmother is an artist. She has many paintings in Emily's house. So she has a museum right here in Emily's house. Okay, so we can move on. Here we can practice using the correct form of the verb. So you can see do, show, and do. So for this one, we can listen one more time and try to find the missing words. So the first one is very early. Why this oh there.
Page 17. Conversation. Complete the conversation. Then listen and check your answers. Practice the conversation with a partner.
I like that still life. Did you do that, Emily? Oh, thank you. I like it too. But actually, it was done by my grandmother. Well, it's very colorful. I really love it. Thanks. She's very talented. Some of her paintings were shown at the local museum a few years ago. Wow. So are you an artistic person too? Not really. I think I did a sculpture once in junior high. And I go to the museum once a year or so. Why don't you go more often? I don't have to. I have my own museum right here.
Okay, so I like that still life. Did you do that, Emily? So did you paint that, Emily? Did you do that, Emily? Oh, thank you. I like it too. But actually, by my grandmother. So it was done by my grandmother. My grandmother did the painting, it. So my grandmother did it. It was done, it was painted by my grandmother. My grandmother painted it. Some of her paintings were shown at the local museum. So my grandmother showed her paintings at the museum. Her paintings were shown at the local museum. I think I did a sculpture. once in junior high. I think I did a sculpture once in junior high. So our grammar point today is practicing saying that somebody did something. So it was done by my grandmother. But here we are not talking about grandmother. We are talking about the painting. So it was done by my grandmother. This is our grammar point today. So for this next activity, if you look at the questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and try to write your own answers. If you press pause, and you can try to make your own answers for this one. So press pause now. If you've written your own answers, we can look at some examples. So number 1, what kinds of art do you like? Do you like art? Yes, I do. I like graffiti art and graphic novels. I like comics, so I like webtoon art. I like ink drawings and photographs. Okay, number 1, what kinds of art do you like? 2, do you think you are artistic? Why? Or why not? So do you think you are artistic? Me? Oh my. No way! I can't draw at all. I'm a really terrible drawer. I cannot draw, I cannot do art. I can only draw stick figures. It's very sad. I want to be good at art, but I'm not. Do you like to create art? Why? Why not? Not really. I'm not very good at art. I like to take pictures, to take photographs, but I'm not very good at art, so I don't do paintings and I don't draw. 4, do you like to visit museums? If yes, what museums do you like to visit? So yes, I like to visit museums when I travel to some new place. It is interesting to visit history museums or learn about nature. I visited New York one time, so I went to the Museum of Modern Art and the Guggenheim to see some art. Okay, so let's quickly look at the grammar, then we can finish this first part. So here you can see my mother painted it. My mother did something. My mother did the action. But for our grammar today, we are using the passive. So this is active. My mother did it. But I want to talk about it. So it is the book. It is a painting. So my mother painted it. It was painted by my mother. So we have the subject, my mother, the verb, paint, and it, the painting, is the object. So we have to change it around. It was painted by my mother. Did your father cook it? So it is some delicious budae jjigae, my favorite today. So did your father cook it? It was cooked by my father. Was this cooked by your father? So was it cooked by your father? Was this cooked by your father? Let's look at this question. Who painted the Mona Lisa? The Mona Lisa. Who was the Mona Lisa painted by? So it was painted by. Who invented Hangul? Who was Hangul invented by? So we can make a question. Let's look at some pictures. So this first picture was the Gobuksan turtle ship. What is it? It is a turtle ship. Who was it invented by? It was invented by Lee Sun-shin. Why was it invented? It was invented to fight in the war. So here we are talking about the ship, not Lee Sun-shin. So it was invented by Lee Sun-shin. The next picture we will look at in part 2. So that is the end of this first video. Thank you for listening, and we will look at more detail into the grammar and do some listening exercises in the second part. So thank you very much for listening, and see you in video 2.